In today's healthy living, we focus on a disease most people don't like to talk about, colorectal cancer. March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and what you don't know can hurt you. Colorectal cancer is the third most common cancer diagnosed in the U.S. and the second leading cause of cancer death. It will affect about 1 in 20 people. Women have a slightly lower risk than men. Colorectal cancer develops slowly with few early signs or symptoms. It almost always starts with an abnormal growth known as a polyp. Not all polyps are malignant, but those that are tend to grow slowly, taking 10 years to become cancerous. That is why a screening colonoscopy is so very important, and it's recommended at age 50. But a new study published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute shows a disturbing trend, a rise in colorectal cancers in younger adults who are rarely screened for the disease. So why is this happening? Who is at risk? And what are the options for younger patients? And joining me to talk about that is Dr. Walter Coyle, a gastroenterologist at Scripps Clinic. And also with me today is Nedy Farol. She was diagnosed with advanced colorectal cancer at the age of 43, and you are still undergoing treatment. Thank you very much for being here and sharing your story today. Doctor, let's begin with you and talk about this disturbing finding that the number of younger people in their 20s, 30s, 40s are getting colorectal cancer. The screening doesn't even begin until you're 50.
Right. There's a recent study that just came out that said they looked at 500,000 cases from 1974 to 2013, and it turns out that people now who were born in 1990 compared to 1950 are 4 times more likely to get rectal cancer and 2 times more likely to get colon cancer.
And why? Why is this happening, do you think?
We're not sure. There's a bunch of theories. It does mark the same time as the rise of the obesity epidemic, so maybe something with sedentary lifestyle, change in diet may be part of it.
Nedy, at 43 years old, you were diagnosed. Did you have some symptoms? And I guess colorectal cancer probably wasn't even on your radar, right?
It wasn't. You know, it was a very surprising diagnosis, and I'm only 43 when I was diagnosed. So I had bleeding issues that started happening, and I wasn't aware that my biological father actually died at 34 years old of colon cancer. So the only time that it was spoken about is because I was having these bleeding issues.
So your father died in his 30s from
34,
and you were adopted, so you didn't know this until you were diagnosed.
I started having the symptoms.
Wow. So doctor, is it common for people to have a familial link when they're diagnosed early with colon cancer?
Yes, it is. And that's why the guidelines, you know, regular screening, if you have no family history, starts at 50, like you said. But if she had known, she would have had her first colonoscopy 10 years earlier, and that's the recommendation, or age 40, whichever is the earlier age.
Wow. So, Nedy, you have a very active, busy life. Tell us about your family. I know you're married, you have a daughter, you're a working woman. How has this impacted your life and your family?
Well, it's very hard as far as diagnosis. For anybody who's diagnosed with cancer, you know, it's kind of a devastating disease. You don't know how long your life is going to be. You know, you want to live long for your family. So it's very difficult when I was diagnosed because you don't know what the future entails. But, you know, just to help everybody out, if you think you have the genetic susceptibility, like in my case with my biological father being, dying of colon cancer, it would be great to have a screening as soon as you experience any symptom, whether it's bleeding in your bowels or, abnormal bowel movements, constipation that's not usual for you. Talk to your primary care provider right away and talk to them and see if maybe you might benefit from having a colonoscopy and be diagnosed earlier and have not to go through so many, treatment.
Dr. Coyle, let's talk about Nedy's treatment. She's been through a lot in the last 2 years.
Yes, she has. She's had chemotherapy, and she had one small minor setback, but actually she's doing quite well now. But we prefer to get it when it's early because we can prevent this. And unfortunately, so many times there is a miss we can't get it in early enough, but now we're so much better than we used to. We can do directed therapy at the tumors, and we're doing much better than we were even just 10 years ago.
Now let's talk about colonoscopies, because they really are the only way to get a handle on this early, and they're lifesavers, aren't they?
They can be. And so most people with colon cancer are over age 50, so the guidelines cover them. But about 10,000 people in 2013 were less than age 50, and another 12,000 were less than 55. So we're trying to go after that population, and it's family history, but also if any change in symptoms. So the big thing she mentioned, if you have any bleeding, any change in bowel habits of any kind, or pain, seek attention of your doctor, and then you may need a colonoscopy to get evaluated.
A lot of people hesitate to get a colonoscopy because the procedure sounds horrible, which it really isn't. I've had one before, and it's just, you're out. But the prep is really not very pleasant either, the stuff you have to drink beforehand. But that's getting better, you say?
Well, I get that all the time. It used to be the old gallon. It tasted like salt water. It was very terrible. And now they're down to small preps, about 7 to 9 ounces. You take 2 split over time, then you can drink whatever you want. Water, Gatorade, juices, and it's much better.
Much better. So, Nedy, tell us what your life is like today. I know you just recently got some good news about your health.
Well, I went through from advanced stage 3 colon cancer to stage 4 because it metastasized. And I've had several surgeries as well as chemotherapy cycles, several of them. And good news was given to me yesterday that I'm cancer-free. So, for anybody, it does change your lifestyle. It does change what is normal for you going through the surgery and the treatment. But you can get back up and, be your normal self again, spend more time with your family. That's what I'm looking forward to because, I'm hopefully, like right now, I feel like I'm cured, so.
Well, you are glowing, and it's, I thank you for sharing your story with us. It's not easy to go on TV to talk about this, but you're on a mission to educate others, aren't you?
Yes, and I want them to really be aware of the symptoms, talk to your doctor about it, get a colonoscopy if you need to, because it will save your life. It starts with a polyp, and if they remove that polyp, even with just single polyp, your life could be saved, and you don't have to go through chemo and surgery.
I think you've got a great spokeswoman here, Dr. Coyle. Walter Coyle and Nedy Farol, thank you very much, and continued good health to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Appreciate you sharing your story. Alan, back to you.
All right, excellent information. Thank you, Sandra. Still ahead, a battle is brewing between the lifeguards and the fire department. We're going to show you what the head of the lifeguards union says needs to be done to improve safety. But first, here's Brandy Williams.
You guys.